All right. Okay, it says it's preparing for live stream. This is so exciting. All right, here we go. Let's just resize everything and get it perfect. Okay. All right. Okay, it says it's preparing for live stream. This is so exciting. Hey, so here we are, you guys. It's so good to be with you again so soon. I absolutely love that we are doing this. Okay, so I've heard a little bit of noise that people are having fun with this idea, which is so awesome because I am too. So let's get started here in our what if number 2. And this is what if we limit it to green? I know how much fun we all have with flowers. Flowers are everywhere in face painting. They're one of my favorite things, and especially for the older clientele, whenever a woman's like, oh yeah, I just want a little something, it's always like, oh, well, let's do some awesome flowers. So those are there and we love them. But the what if is, what if we do a floral arrangement without flowers? I know that that sounds crazy, but I think it's going to be incredible. So I'm going to invite you guys on my journey to discover, what does this look like? So let's start by sharing our other camera. And again, while I do this, let me just give you guys the heads up. If you ever want to join the full length 2-hour live class we do each week, I would love to have you. So details all about that can be found on Buy Me a Coffee, which will end up in the base, but here we go. All right. So before we start the design today, I just want to show you guys a few little things that I like to focus on as I'm thinking about my leaves. So we're going to start with a 1/2 inch flat. And of course, we know that this is going to be really fun, that leaves are usually green, right? So here we have a green color from my kit. This is just a tag green. It's all great. So that's the regular green, or we have the lime green. But one thing that I feel like isn't talked about nearly enough, here's the lime green, is how color changes and how we can mix and match colors. Color mixing is something that painters have been doing for thousands of years. So do we mix our colors in face painting? Not nearly enough. So if we go up and down from that green, we can take the same load. And I've started doing this all the time. It's so fun. So I've got green on my brush, then I dip it in water, dry off whatever extra brush water is like drippy. Now I've got my green, and then I can go over and I can load that directly in white. And so I can take that and I can go up to get a lighter green. Do you see how it's in the same family, but it's lighter? Okay, I can dip it again, dry it off, load it right on top of a white cake. Now this makes your white a disaster. So I have a special white I use just for color mixing, but you can see we can go even lighter, and this goes up as many times as you want to. Okay, so if we go up, what other direction do we go? We go down. So I'm loading up my green. Now you don't need to load as much black, and you don't even really need more water. But so what happens is I've got just the very tip in black and the rest here is in green. And when I go onto my design in painting that color, it will pull that black. Do you see how I just got dark green? You can just grab a little bit more black, come here. I'm using the green in my brush to kind of blend and mix. And we can go, just like we went up, we can go down. Doesn't this look like a color strip at, Home Depot? It totally works and I love it. Okay, so that's awesome already, right? We could do that for the lime green, but that's not what this is all about. So what other choices do we have? Let me show you. It's so cool. So I'm loading up that same green color that we started with right here, right? We're going to pretend like that one isn't there. And now I am loading. Let me dip it in the water, because always face painting, it's not just about the paint, it's about the water. Now I'm making my yellow cake a mess, and I have loaded green onto yellow. And you can see we just got a more Kelly, a more live green. We're keeping it full paint saturation. We're not changing how much green there is. We're just making it a lighter green. We know that yellow and blue make green. And so we just keep having this fun together, and we can continue to make it a brighter and brighter green. Okay, so then if we know yellow and blue, what are we doing next? Of course, we're going to add blue. So this is an awesome way when we are using green and we want to accent it, to just hit the green and then hit the blue. And you can see how awesome. This makes dark green as well, but instead of it being dulled by the black, it is just deepened by the blue. And this will actually sometimes get you an even darker green than the black will. Anyway, okay, so we could obviously take this green and add yellow and take this green and add blue and all around. This is color mixing. It is so fun to experiment and to try with. And by using this little flat brush, you can see it creates these nice little squares. So you can have so much fun. Now, this is very basic color mixing theory, but just so that you know, we can have more fun than that. So this is our regular green. We can also do something like throwing it in brown a little bit. And look what a cool color that is. This gives us more of the natural tones, which if you're doing leaves, you want nature, right? So you can add more brown to the green and get this really pretty, like foresty. Anyway, it's way fun. So let's hop into the leaves that we paint with this green. So I'm gonna just flip this for us. We'll move her for a second. She's gonna come get her face painted in a minute. I'm so excited, she's patient. I love painting on paper, people, because they never get frustrated when I take a long time. Okay, so what is really nice about painting greenery is that we have the chance to, it's not cheating, but to go ahead and just one stroke. So we've got all kinds of one stroke greens. I'll show you a couple in case you don't have very many in your palette. Know that you can paint with solid green. You don't have to have fancy stuff to make amazing, beautiful face paintings. But there are a couple things to notice. So this one is a green, green, yellow one stroke. And you can see it's pretty, it's a tag. But it gives you those three colors and then all the blending in between. I've got another one here that is, okay, I'm gonna get mixed up. I think this one is a fusion, and this one actually has 5 colors. It's got a white and a light green and a yellow, and then 2 of the darker greens. And you can see that it gives us, you know, just a similar look and feel. And then of course we have some of the one strokes that have green that then also have non-greens. And that can be really fun if you're painting like a tropical leaf or something, to have some red show up or whatever. So there's so much to play with. And of course, play with color, that's awesome. But we are focused on green. So we're gonna hop back to green, and I'm just gonna show you how much fun this is. So usually green is used, leaves and everything are our second, like our backup players. You know, you have the flowers and then you throw some leaves in there. So my typical leaves that I use, I'm going to show them to you. I have 2 different ones that I do. And the first one is, and we're going to just keep it right here in the center, is just the, you know, it's like a flower petal only in green. And we just go out and point and cut back around, and there it is. And I use this one all the time with my roses, with my daisies, whatever. It's there, it's happy, I'm happy. It's great. The next one that I use, you can do with a round or a filbert. I load up the same one stroke, which is just those 2 first greens we talked about. And then instead of doing it in 2 strokes, I do it in 1. So it's like a thin to thick to thin line, only crazy fast. Do you see that? It's just awesome. And this one is so much fun to play with, and you tuck them everywhere, and spring has never sprung so quickly. Okay, so there we go. That's what we do. But the what if is, what if we do more? I know in henna and I know in illustration, greenery only things are so popular in botanical line work. You can look and be inspired. They are everywhere. Hand lettering with a little bit of a potted plant. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. So what does that look like for us? Well, let me show you. We are going to do some new things, and I'm so happy. Okay, first one, I've got a number 3 brush. I'm gonna load it up. We're just gonna stick with that same green color. Feel free to mix and match whatever greens you want. We will be doing that in the actual design that we're gonna try. But here we go. So right here, a lot of leaves that we do stick to the leaf shape, right? But every leaf has a stem. So if we are focused on the leaf, not as a backup, but as a main stage, we need more of the leaf detail. So some of that detail comes in like feather accents of putting in the veins. And you can see that already is a much more beautiful leaf. Maybe not more beautiful, but more interesting. It's got more detail. Something's going on there and we want to know more about it. So if we look at these stems that we can do, let's give us 3. There are endless. You guys, it's so awesome. Okay, so now let's just do some little teardrops. You can pull them back or you can lay them down. And you can see we have a nice little sprig of something. So I'm pulling a thin line for the stem and then laying down for the leaf. And what a fun little bit of green that is. Oh, I love it. Okay, so now the next one, we're gonna do the exact same thing. We're just going to make them these leaves instead of doing little round leaves. So let's try that. So we come here, we lay down thin to thick to thin, thin to thick to thin, and we just get these amazing little chubby leaves going on. And of course, if you go nice and slow, you will get consistency. If you hurry up, maybe not as much, but whatever works. If you are struggling, this is an awesome thing to practice because you have to slow down and you get incredible control over your brushes. And so I love it. Now, one of the things you can do is if you take a pencil and you draw the shape of a leaf, like an oval, it can help you get all of them the same size if you have that when you're practicing. Obviously, we're not gonna do that on face paint, but look how cool those are. Aren't they beautiful? Okay, one more. This time, instead of keeping the leaf small, I wanna see what happens when we elongate and exaggerate. So we're gonna come here, we're gonna go thin to thick to thin, come thin to thick to thin, and this is a fern leaf. And you can see how beautiful this is. And there's so much subtle variation that is available for the taking and the using. Like we can paint green all day long. It's so beautiful. Okay, so there are just 3 examples. What if we take this leaf and we play with its shape? So I'm hopping back to my flat brush. This is my 1/2 inch one again. You can do it with a 3/4 inch, but that's a little big in my feeling. So, okay, we did our first one, which was just like that, right? Okay, what if we do what we learned over here in the round and we did a round one? So we pull in a nice round leaf and then we can always throw in that little centerpiece. That's a cute leaf. Now, what if we do like a heart-shaped one? So there's our center. And then we're gonna pull a heart around this way and pull a heart around this way. This is gonna be like an ivy leaf right there. That's totally a valid leaf shape. We can do, I'm thinking like a cottonwood leaf, and you're gonna laugh at me, but if you go to like a nursery where they sell baby trees, just walk around and look at the leaves, and it's amazing how many there are. So with this one, we can do one that comes out a little bit more round, and then it scoops out to a point. So we're going round, and then we're scooping out to this little point. And you can see there's a beautiful leaf shape. So as we allow ourselves to care about these different shapes, we can also care about the edges. So we can do a little jiggity jaggedy, you know, the holly leaf or the rose leaf. There's a lot there. And in some of the folk art painting in like Russia and places, the leaves that they do, oh, they're gorgeous. Okay, so we have that. Now remember, we also have this little leaf that we started from. So if we hop back to that brush and we load that up, we can do that size. We can do little tiny baby ones, or we can do nice big chunky ones, or we can do nice long ones, or we can do super thin long ones that are like grass. You can see there's so much variety and change. And that's going to just fill our hearts and our designs with love, right? Okay, now this is just the beginning. There's so much that we have. Like all of this is full of leaves, but if we go into the grass style and we have, you know, just these little bits, and then we pull in just a couple of things, or we start doing sticks and bamboo and different things, that the variety continues. So obviously we don't need to go get all of that variety, but we're going to start using that in our design. So remember how we talked about ladies. We have a lady here today, and I'm going to tell you why I would use this design. if this is somebody that comes in and their makeup is done and it is on point. I love it when people have makeup on and they're like, oh, do I have to wash it off? And I'm like, please don't. I know it looks like you took the last, half hour before you came here to make that eyeshadow look so gorgeous. So I'm going to go in. This is just a Botanical Lumiere Gold. And I'm just going to put in some nice eyeshadow. I am not going to spend as much time as she would have putting that on. And oh, you can barely see it, but in the picture that I put up later, you'll see this. But the reason I wanted to talk about this is because what happens often when somebody has beautiful makeup done, both eyes match, because that's what you do when you do your makeup. And then when we come in with face paint, if we paint over this, it's going to make the face look a little like asymmetrical, kind of like, oh, we have one half that's makeup and one half that's face paint. So by incorporating our face paint into her makeup, it's going to create this beautiful design. Now I have some Body Art Global paint here that's kind of liquid. It's a little on the older side, so it's going to be thicker than if it was a brand new bottle. But I want to give a floral arrangement something to stand on. So usually a flower arrangement, it might be in a vase, or it might be on like a wooden crate box or something. And so I want to create something that's a little geometrical. I know you guys saw a couple days ago when we did the circles underneath. We're going to give this a wreath look because wreaths are often used with this green and in this whole world. So I just have a damp brush. I'm getting the water off because this is a liquid paint. And you can see I'm just kind of pulling at it. So I've got this really nice creamy gold. I picked gold because she's got gold makeup on, and I'm going to just create a half circle that's going to go from right here, right down there into the corner of her eye. Okay. And what this is doing is it's giving me somewhere to place the center of my arrangement. Whenever you have any kind of design, but especially doing a floral design, you want to have a center where the most action is, and then you want to go out from there. So here we go right here. We've got that nice golden circle, and it's so shiny that it's hard for the camera to see it. But then we can also use these gold accents any way we want. This is going to look like jewelry. And so I'm going to add one little dot right here. And then we might add some gold at the end when we need to see how do we fill this in and whatever. And because this is a shimmer paint, we don't have to worry about like highlights and lowlights and shading, because remember, the story is about the leaves. It's not about this. But so right here is the center point where the florist, that's us. Okay, I just have to stop for a quick second. I love all the different jobs we get to have. So we spend time being a florist, and we spend time being a hairdresser, and we spend time like all of these jobs that's the full job of somebody. We just get to dabble in it for this one design. And I think it's so fun. Okay, so I'm going to start by putting my twiggy stuff in. So I'm going over and I'm getting my green on my little tiny brush, but I want this to be the dark color. So I have my green, I'm dipping it in the water, and then I'm going to use the blue. I'm going to try not to use too much of the yellow side, but so let me show you what I'm talking about. I want in this design, I want it to stay kind of simple. So I'm going to stay in this side. I'm going to use blue to get my dark green, and I'm going to use white to get my light green. And I think that that will end up being a really pretty palette with the gold. Anyway, okay. So from here, I want it to kind of hang and drape. So I'm going to bring my lines down nice and thin right there. There's one. And then I'll come maybe out a little bit in either direction. There we go. And so we've got those nice 3 lines. Now I'm going to just give them some leaves. So here we go. We're going to go thin to thick to thin. I'm kind of going for a medium length here. And in a real floral arrangement, it's going to be very thick because it's 3 dimensions. And so you're going to have lots all together. Obviously, we're working in 1 dimension here. So once I get to here, I'm not going to paint all these leaves because it's a dark color, and I don't want to have to fight that darkness with my lighter colors on top. So I'm getting these as my longest ones, and I can see we even need one more there. Oh, but this is fun. Okay. So we're just laying in these leaves, and then let's put a few right here. Okay, so you want to have variety, right? Variety is the spice of life. So we've got those leaves and they're looking really pretty already. I love it, but I want to do something a little different. So I'm going to grab um, a fresh green load, and then I'm going to go over and I'm going to load the, you know what? Let's do something really cool. Let's load the blue on top of that green. So it's the same color, but then let's lighten it. And so we'll use the white to lighten it. And that will give us a blue, green, white blend that's just going to be gorgeous. Okay, so for this one, I want to go a little bit shorter than those. Those are our longest ones, but I still want to be on the thin side. So we'll maybe bring just two of these out here. So we've got one line there and one line here. And you can see that this is a definitely lighter color. And then this time I'm going to just do the little knobby leaves. And let's even try laying some down. Oh, I like that better. So I'm going to just lay down these leaves. Now, what we've done so far has no overlap. And that is not what a floral arrangement looks like. So we definitely want to overlap, but in our first layer, I'm just getting it down there. So we've got this beautiful thing. Now, when you're doing this, remember, you are using whatever tools you already have. Anytime we have a what if question, it's not, what if I was a brand new face painter, and it's not, what if this was the first time I'd ever painted, and it's knowing everything I already know. What if we add this one little tweak? And what's our tweak? There are no flowers in this arrangement. Okay, so we can do really cool things, like I'm gonna just reload what we had, and then I'm going to double load the tip. So pretending this is a flower, I'm going over and I'm loading it in that dark blue. Now, what if we bring that in for our leaves? Oh my goodness, look how pretty that is. That just added the depth and the dimension and the variety that this design really needed. So feel free when you do something new to remind yourself it's not all new. I am still everything I ever was. I just have this one new piece. Okay, another really cool thing we can do is we can grab the same color. Or actually, I'm not going to do the blue this time. So I've got just the green, starting back at our home color. And then I'm adding just a little bit of white. So it's just a little bit lighter. Then I can come and I can paint over the leaves, just a smaller version as a really pretty highlight. And you can do it on just half of them. You can do it on all of them, or you can do just a thinner one. But the beauty of just doing green is that all the time we would normally spend in a design on the flowers, we still have that time. It's not like we throw in just the little simple leaves we usually do, and then we do the complicated roses. We're doing complicated leaves. And that just, oh, that makes me so happy. Okay, we're gonna hop now to our flat brush. And actually, I'm gonna use an angle brush. Angle brushes do the job of a flat brush with style. It's like when I was in high school, I was on the diving team for a semester and I loved it. It was awesome. But I came into diving as a non-athlete, and there were all these other divers that had been gymnasts. And so as I would walk down the diving board, I would just walk because that's what you're supposed to do, is you're supposed to walk down the diving board. And as the gymnasts would walk down the diving board, they had this elegance and this grace and this bounce in their step. And that is what an angle brush will do for our design, is it will give it elegance, grace, and bounce. So let's do that. Here we come right here. We're going to do bigger leaves. We're going to pull out to the side and down. We're going to pull out to the side and down. And you can see that is a beautiful leaf. We're going to add a few more of those. So let's come right here. And we're painting over the top of that first leaf, and we're painting over the top of some of these. Now, we don't want to do a ton, but we certainly want this to look like an arrangement. And so we want there to be more than just one or two. But there we go right there. And then let's do just maybe a smaller one right here. And it can be really hard if you have this gorgeous leaf and you're like, I'm covering it up. But we want a gorgeous arrangement, not just a gorgeous leaf. Okay, so now we have those beautiful leaves. We're gonna hop to a different brush. Every time you change your brush, it takes time. I know that, you know that, but it also adds complexity and depth to the design work. And we want that in our work. We want complexity and depth. Okay, so this time I am loading up the same color I used here. It's on a little filbert, but then I'm gonna go back and hit it with white. And what that does is it gives it a different color. So even as we paint over the top of something, it won't get lost. So we can come here and we can do our thin to thick to thin, and we can see that's working, but it's not quite as loud of a change. So I'm gonna wash that off, go back to my greens, and then I'll just go dark again instead of going light. So we'll come right here and we'll do thin to thick to thin. We've got a nice little break right there. We can add another leaf and another leaf. Okay, so now we've gotten definitely the feeling like this is our bunch, and then these things are hanging down, and it's time to add in a little bit more finer detail. So all of this has been done with our flat brushes and all of those awesome bigger brushes. Now we're going down into our little tinies, and I've loaded up white. If you want a really light color, it's nice to do the white load first and then go to your color. So you can see I've got white, and then on the tip, I've loaded my green blue thing. Okay, so I'm gonna come right here and I'm going to trace that darker leaf. And I did 4 of them. You can do as many as you want, obviously, but I want to use this same color to add just a little bit of highlight to something else as well. Whenever we do something to multiple parts, it ends up bringing the design together. Okay, and you can see, oh, this is so pretty. I want there to be a little bit of background whimsy. So this might not be as botanically correct, but it'll be pretty. So I'm loading up that dark blue-green, and then I'm just coming right here and I'm gonna add a swirl. There we go. Okay, and then we don't want this to be too heavy, but we want there to be a little bit. So I'm gonna add one more swirl right there, and then I'm gonna dry off my brush. So I just wiped it off. So it should be really thin. And I'm gonna come out here. Oh yeah, I love how thin that is. And I'm gonna add one curl that way and then one curl this way. Okay, so now we've got a big mess. And now I know we said green only, and I feel like this is super green only, but we're going to add just a little bit of, we'll keep it green, but of little like snowdrops, the little white dots. So I've got my Kelly green. This is the first time we've used that. And now I'm hitting it with a bunch of white as well. So it will be green, but it will be very light green. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to just add a little bit of the green dotted cluster buds. And that can be its own little baby something, who knows? Put a few right there. Okay, so we've got this beautiful golden ring where we have this really pretty everything, and now all we need is our white detailing, and we're going to be done. So I'm going to go back to my white detail brush, and you can see that with how many different varieties of flower or of leaves that we started with, we could do so many different things with this. It would be amazing. Okay, so let's throw in just a couple of white dots on top of the green dots to give that some complexity. I love these two-toned leaves right here. They're so pretty. And then I'm wiping it off so it's really thin again. And I'm gonna just do a little bit of that swirling motion that we had going on, and maybe just a single little star right there. One little twinkle, 2 little twinkles. I love it. Twinkle, twinkle, little stars. Okay. And then with that golden ring up here, I don't want that to be lost. And so by adding a little bit of a white highlight to that golden ring, it's going to bring that in. So we can bring that. And then I'm going to go back to my gold. And we're just going to grab a little bit of that. And this would be an awesome place for a diamond jewel or something. But just to show that this golden ring is holding on here, I'm going to just give it a little bit of a hit right here to just show that we've got some gold in our design right there. Anyway, okay, so what did this do for us? Well, normally this type of a design will be when somebody already has makeup on, remember? And so I'm gonna add the eyeliner, but normally I wouldn't be the one adding this. She would have already added this. She walked in this way. So we've got this beautiful eyeliner going on. It's just so intense and gorgeous. And whenever you are the one adding eyeliner, it's nice to have the upper eyeliner be as thick or thicker than the bottom. And then if you want to extend it, you totally can. So you just trace the line that is lifted. So here we go. We're lifting this line. It comes out here and we can add one little black swirl. And that just brings the color all the way through the design. Of course, I don't want it to hide my twinkle star, so I'm putting that back in. Anyway, but there are so many options here, but let me show you how gorgeous she is now. You can see we could make it more simple with fewer leaves or more complicated if we wanted to have a little bit of the dot work in here or wherever. Speaking of, I love finishing a design with an extra few little dots. So we're just gonna grab these white dots and we're just gonna do a trail of them up here on our ring. There we go. Okay. Anyway, but she is lovely. She would love this design. It is very calm, even though it's this loud burst of greenery. By not having all of those flowers in there, it lets her have a little bit of a regal, fairy-esque, whatever. You guys, how much fun is this to hang out together and to get to ask these questions? Definitely, if you have a question, let me know. You can sponsor a What if you want to, or you can join my What If list by my own and by other people's suggestions. I'm grabbing a list that I just pull whenever we get together. Hopefully I will see you guys again soon. I would love to hear your thoughts on this design, or if you come up with your own green only design, what if number 2, hashtag that, and I would love to check it out. I hope you guys are doing great, and I will talk to you later. Bye.